All right, thank you, Officer Tatum. Welcome to the Officer Tatum Show. I am your guest host, Carl Jackson, filling in for the Officer Tatum. The number to call in, 844-900-7243, 844-900-7243. We got a lot of news to get to tonight, a lot of stories that I want to try to get through, and I look forward to hearing from you. Again, the number 844-900-7243, 844-900-7243. I think I want to start here. There was a story of a trans volleyball player. I'm not sure if you guys heard of this story. A very fascinating story. It took place in North Carolina, where a trans volleyball player, a dude pretending to be a woman, was on a high school team, a high school volleyball team, and the guy spiked the volleyball so hard. There were estimates that the ball was spiked at 70 miles per hour. And when that gentleman spiked that ball, it hit a young lady in the face. The lady falls to the ground. She winds up with a severe concussion. And then what happens is this team decides not to play, or ultimately the county decides not to allow the team with the trans to play anymore. My frustration is we have a lack of truth in society, and we're going to be able to start fixing this on November 8th. We're going to be able to start fixing this on November 8th. But this girl was seriously injured, had to go to the hospital because we decide to live lies. We decide to abide by the left's lies. I'm going to touch on this a lot in this hour. I want to get a little deep. Dennis Prager wrote a column. Actually, he's written a couple of columns. He's in his second one in a series of columns that he's writing explaining conservatism. And I'm going to go through the first one. And I just want to, I want you to understand not just what we're fighting for. Yes, we're fighting for the Constitution. We're fighting for America. We're fighting for freedom. I want you to understand the whys of why we're fighting. He defines conservatism, or at least the reasons, the attributes of conservatism that are so important. And I want to speak on those. I've defined conservatism before myself. I've defined it as what it is. He goes into the why, which I think is very important because it's generational and it's very important. But when I consider conservatism, I consider Christ. I consider there's a God above. I consider the Constitution. I consider the rule of law. I believe the rule of law is so important. The Constitution is so fabulous. It's so amazing. There's nothing else like it. I was sitting here thinking, just driving here, I'm always bothered by this notion that America's systemically racist. America's so systemically racist. And I think of the black people that live in America, minorities that live in America, and how prosperous we are compared to the rest of the world. And I can't help but to sit and think, man, if America is systemically racist, if that were true, if it is true, according to the left, that is true. And if that is true, if that is certainly the case, how much worse off is the rest of the world? Because this is the most prosperous country for any minority, for any black. You don't see black people bum rushing the border to leave the United States of America. It simply does not happen. Capitalism. Capitalism is amazing. No one grows up with the idea or the concept or the desire to want to, well, we're getting there, I feel like, but no one grew up, let's say, with this notion or this idea that, man, you know what, when I grow up, when I get big, I don't want to be a fireman. I don't want to be a cop. I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a lawyer. You know what I want to do? What I want to be? I want to be a welfare recipient. Nobody grows up like that. But the left would pretend or have you believe that that's the way a lot of people feel. Now, they're doing their darndest to try to make that happen. The level of dependency on government is absolutely astonishing. I'll share a story with you later in the show. Lord willing, we have time. Something that Mike Rowe said when he was being interviewed by Megyn Kelly, and we'll on her podcast, and we'll get to that. But Christ, Constitution, and the reason I say Christ, listen, I'm a Christian, but I understand there are Jewish people out there, and I totally get that. People of faith in general, I believe that it's important to believe in a higher power. Our founding fathers got that. They understood that. Dennis Prager often talks about how truth is not a left-wing value. When I think of this story of where this volleyball player is injured now, and a lot of girls, it's amazing to me because what they did was instead of suspending the dude pretending to be a girl, a lot of people are going to get punished because a lot of the people wanted to play this team that this dude happened to be on. So instead of just removing the dude, some people are just deciding not to play this particular team. And they wanted to play this team. Many teams did. So it's as if everyone else is being punished because you don't have someone that has the courage to speak the truth. Dudes cannot be chicas, and chicas cannot be dudes. And we just live in a backward society, but I'm so excited. I am so excited for November 8th because we get to start turning this ship around. And there's nothing that the Democrat Party, I don't think they can do at this point in time. I mean, the polls are not looking good for the Biden administration. They're not looking good for Dems. Perhaps I'll go through Real Clear Politics and just give you some of the estimates that we're seeing. But it's absolutely astonishing. Christ, Constitution, capitalism is extremely important. You know why I love capitalism? I love capitalism because capitalism allows you to identify your God-given gift and use it to your advantage, and not just to your advantage, but to the advantage of your neighbors, to the advantage of consumers. America is a beautiful place. Conservatism is a beautiful place. The reason why we fight is because we love people. Now, I'm going to get into Prager's column, but I wanted to put my own spin on conservatism. I'm giving more of the whats. Again, I'll go through some of the whys. But one of the reasons that we have to conserve our values is so that we don't have dudes pretending to be chicas playing in high school volleyball games, perhaps even taking scholarships, who knows, injuring a girl. Who knows if that girl will be able to come back. She was so, by the time I read the story, the girl had a severe concussion and she wasn't able to come back to the court several days later. She was just out of it, still in so much pain. This stuff shouldn't happen in America. Conservatism is better. Conservative people aren't better. Conservative ideas are better. And the left doesn't like our ideas. Courage. In today's culture, it takes courage to be a conservative. It takes courage to speak the truth. But a lot of us have to get used to this idea that we're going to have to speak the truth. It's amazing to me. I will often hear those on the left. I remember hearing John Kerry, I think when he was running for president, if I recall correctly, saying this often. Well, I don't want to legislate morality when it comes to abortion. Man, I'm going to get into Stacey Abrams. There's a clip here from her. Man, this chick is willing to legislate their morality. The left is always willing to legislate their morality. The funny thing is the Constitution lays out a Bill of Rights, a list of negative liberties that are beneficial to all of us, and we do legislate morality. It's asinine to say otherwise. And we have to be willing to speak up as conservatives. Why do you think criminals go to jail? You know why criminals go to jail? It's because we legislate morality, but we sit back and we allow the left to project their views and force their views and impose their views and their ideas onto us. And we sit back and we say we're peace-loving people, so on, etc. But as a result of doing that, we have dudes pretending to be chicas playing on high school volleyball teams. And it's got again. Christ, there's got to be a superior power. We got to understand, when we understand that there's a superior power, we know better how to treat other people. Not only do we submit to a higher power, but we understand that there's a higher power watching, so it makes us less likely to get involved in crime. We don't want to treat people badly. This is why conservatism matters. This is why our Judeo-Christian value system matters. I would argue that conservatism is a far more compassionate ideology than Marxism, socialism, leftism is, because we value the individual. I'll get into that. We value the individual. The left does not value the individual.